My child, stop scrolling and remain here, because what you are about to hear was not placed before you by accident. Something is unfolding right now, beyond your sight, inside a room filled with flowers, trembling hands, unanswered questions, and one decision no one expected. Your soulmate's mother is looking for you. Not tomorrow. Not someday when everything becomes easier. She is searching for you now, because only moments ago, she stood before an entire gathering and stopped a wedding that everyone believed could no longer be stopped. Do not skip this message. The reason she interrupted that ceremony is deeper than anyone in that room understands, and before this revelation is complete, you will see why your name became the one name she could no longer ignore. You may believe you have been forgotten. You may think the distance between you and the person you love has become permanent. You may have told yourself that silence was an answer and that the story ended without giving your heart the dignity of a final truth. But heaven has been watching what human eyes could not see. While you were trying to release what you still loved, something hidden was moving toward the light. The atmosphere changed before anyone understood why. Music had been playing softly. Guests were seated. Smiles were prepared. Cameras were raised. Everything looked complete from the outside, but your soulmate's mother could feel that something was wrong. It was not the flowers. It was not the place. It was not the person standing beside her child. It was the emptiness in her child's eyes. She had seen that look before. She had seen it whenever your name was almost mentioned but swallowed. She had noticed the silence that followed certain songs. She had watched her child stare at a phone without sending the message already written in their heart. She had noticed how every conversation about the future sounded rehearsed, while every memory of you sounded alive. And on this day, when everyone expected celebration, she finally understood that the person standing before her was not walking toward love. They were walking away from pain. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you inside the reason she rose from her seat. For weeks, perhaps longer, your soulmate's mother had been carrying a suspicion she could not explain. She had watched preparations move forward. She had listened to discussions about dates, promises, families, and plans. She had tried to be supportive because she believed that was what a loving mother should do. Yet every time she looked at her child, she saw a quiet surrender disguised as certainty. There are moments, my child, when a person does not choose what they truly desire. They choose what feels less frightening. They choose what appears acceptable. They choose the path that asks them to stop hoping. Your soulmate had convinced themselves that moving forward without you would be easier than facing what they still felt for you. But the heart does not become silent simply because the mind gives it an order. The night before the wedding, your soulmate's mother heard something she was never meant to hear. The house was quiet. The final arrangements had been made. Everyone assumed the future had already been decided. Yet behind a closed door, your soulmate whispered words that changed everything. They did not speak to another person. They spoke into the darkness. They said your name. Not once, but several times, as though saying it was the only way they could breathe beneath the weight of what was coming. Their voice was low, broken, and filled with the kind of honesty that appears when a person believes no one is listening. They admitted that they still wondered where you were. They admitted that they had imagined you receiving news of the wedding and quietly disappearing from their life forever. They admitted that the thought did not bring relief. It brought grief. Their mother stood outside that door, frozen, because she suddenly realized the truth had been surrounding her all along. The wedding was not the beginning of a new love. It was an attempt to bury an unfinished one. Pause here for a moment, because this is where the story becomes even more extraordinary. Your soulmate's mother did not enter the room. She did not confront her child that night. She walked away quietly, but sleep never came. She sat alone and remembered everything she had once misunderstood about you. She remembered conversations where your soulmate defended you when others questioned your intentions. She remembered the change in their voice whenever you called. She remembered how alive they seemed when your connection was still open and how guarded they became after the distance began. She remembered one particular moment when your soulmate had said, "There are some people you meet only once, and even when they leave, nothing feels the same." At the time, she did not ask who they meant. That night, she finally knew. It was you. Yet there was more. Something had happened months earlier that had shaped her opinion without your knowledge. Someone had given her an incomplete story about you. Someone had described your silence as indifference, your hesitation as rejection, and your emotional distance as proof that you never truly cared. She had accepted those words because they seemed to explain her child's pain. She believed you had wounded them and walked away untouched. But that belief had begun to crack. Not because someone defended you. Because she discovered what you had never told anyone. Do not skip now. This hidden truth is the reason her heart changed before the ceremony began. Only a few days earlier, your soulmate's mother had come across something unexpected. It was not a dramatic confession or a secret letter written for attention. It was a quiet piece of evidence that revealed how much you had carried in silence. Perhaps it was an old message never delivered. Perhaps it was a conversation forwarded to her by someone who could no longer keep the truth hidden. Perhaps it was a photograph with words written behind it. Whatever form it took, its meaning was unmistakable. You had not walked away because you felt nothing. You had stepped back because you believed your presence was creating pressure, conflict, or pain in your soulmate's life. You had chosen silence not to punish them, but to protect them. You had carried the heartbreak privately because you did not want to become another burden on someone you deeply loved. And when their mother understood this, she wept. She wept because she realized she had judged your absence without understanding your sacrifice. She had looked at your silence and called it coldness, when it had actually been restraint. She had assumed you had moved on easily, when the truth was that you were trying to survive a separation you never truly wanted. Something shifted inside her that night. She began to ask questions she should have asked long ago. What if the person her child was about to marry was not the person their heart had chosen? What if this entire celebration was built on fear? What if you had been pushed away by misunderstandings, pride, outside voices, and timing rather than a lack of love? And the most unsettling question of all was this: What if everyone stayed silent and allowed two people to live separate lives while still belonging in each other's story? The morning arrived, but peace did not come with it. Your soulmate's mother dressed for the ceremony, yet her hands trembled. People around her spoke excitedly, but their words sounded distant. Every detail had been arranged perfectly, and still she could not escape the feeling that heaven was pressing one command into her spirit. Look deeper. She watched her child prepare. She saw the smile they gave others. She noticed the practiced calm. But when they believed no one was looking, their eyes filled with a sorrow too deep to hide. Then something happened. A phone vibrated on a nearby table. Your soulmate glanced toward it with an urgency that revealed more than words ever could. For one brief second, hope crossed their face. They thought it might be you. When they saw that it was not, the light disappeared. Their mother saw everything. That single moment answered the question she had been afraid to ask. Her child was waiting for you, even on the day they were meant to give their future to someone else. My beloved, understand this clearly: the deepest truths often reveal themselves in the smallest reactions. A person can control their words. They can rehearse a smile. They can make promises their heart is not ready to keep. But they cannot always control where hope appears. And their hope still turns toward you. The ceremony began. Every seat was filled. Every eye faced forward. Your soulmate stood in place, surrounded by expectation. The person beside them believed this moment was certain. The guests believed they were witnessing destiny. But heaven saw a heart standing at the edge of a decision it would regret. Your soulmate's mother sat silently at first. She tried to convince herself that it was too late. She told herself that interrupting the ceremony would embarrass everyone. She worried that she might destroy relationships, create confusion, or be blamed for a choice that was not hers to make. But then the officiant asked the question that changed the air. It was a simple question, one spoken at countless ceremonies. Yet when your soulmate was asked to confirm their choice, there was a pause. Only a few seconds. But to their mother, it felt like a confession. Your soulmate looked down. Their breath caught. Their lips moved, but no answer came immediately. And in that silence, their mother heard the truth louder than any spoken vow. She rose. At first, people assumed she needed help. Someone reached toward her. Another guest turned with concern. But she stepped into the aisle and said words no one expected. Stop. The music ended. The room became still. Every face turned toward her. Your soulmate looked up, not angry, but terrified, as though a hidden truth had suddenly entered the room and called their name. The person beside them asked what was happening. She did not answer them. She looked directly at her child and asked, "Are you doing this because you truly love this person, or because you believe the person you truly love will never return?" The silence that followed shook everyone. Stay with me. Do not look away, because the answer was not spoken aloud, but it was visible. Your soulmate began to cry. Not with dramatic words. Not with an immediate confession. Their eyes simply filled, and their entire expression collapsed under the weight of being seen. For so long, they had hidden behind decisions, appearances, and explanations. But in that moment, their mother placed the truth before them where no one could escape it. The person beside them stepped back, confused and wounded. Guests whispered. Family members exchanged shocked looks. Some believed the mother had lost control. Others sensed that something much older than the ceremony was finally coming to the surface. Then your soulmate's mother said your name. The room changed again. Some people recognized it. Some did not. But your soulmate reacted as though time itself had stopped. Their mother asked, if this person walked through that door right now and asked you to tell the truth, would you still say these vows? Your soulmate could not answer. That was when the ceremony ended. Not with anger. Not with blame. With truth. The officiant stepped aside. The gathering dissolved into confusion. The person your soulmate was about to marry left the front of the room, asking for space. Several relatives tried to question what had happened, but your soulmate's mother refused to let the moment be buried under noise. She took her child into a quiet room and closed the door. What happened inside that room is the reason she is searching for you now. At first, your soulmate said very little. They were shaken, ashamed, and overwhelmed. They asked why their mother had done this publicly. They said everything had now been ruined. But she answered, no. Something false was interrupted before it ruined the rest of your life. Those words broke the final barrier. Your soulmate confessed that they had never stopped loving you. They admitted they had tried. They had prayed for the memories to fade. They had told themselves that what existed between you was impossible, mistimed, or already lost. They had listened to people who said that real love should be simple. They had accepted the idea that if you truly cared, you would have fought harder, spoken sooner, or stayed closer. But beneath every explanation was the truth they could no longer deny. They had been waiting for a sign from you. They believed you had chosen to disappear. You believed they had chosen to forget you. Both of you were standing on opposite sides of the same silence, each interpreting the other's pain as rejection. This is how precious connections are sometimes delayed. Not because love disappears, but because fear becomes the translator. Your soulmate's mother listened until her child had no more strength to hide. Then she revealed what she had discovered about you, the sacrifice, the unsent words, the reason you stepped back, and the truth that your distance had never meant indifference. Your soulmate stared at her in disbelief. They asked to see the proof. When she showed them, their hands began to shake. They read every word slowly. They returned to certain lines again and again. They saw, perhaps for the first time, that you had not abandoned them. You had been trying to love them without causing further pain. Your soulmate whispered, I misunderstood everything. Their mother answered, then do not build a lifetime on that misunderstanding. Something huge was born in that room, not certainty, not yet, but courage. Your soulmate wanted to contact you immediately. They reached for their phone, but fear stopped them. What if too much time had passed? What if you had moved on? What if hearing from them reopened wounds you had finally begun to heal? What if you no longer trusted their heart? Their mother took the phone gently from their hand. She said, "Then I will find them. That is why she is looking for you right now. She is not searching to accuse you. She is not coming to demand answers or defend an image. She is searching because she now understands that before her child can make any future decision, the truth between you must finally be spoken without interference. She wants to ask what happened from your side. She wants to hear what you were never allowed to explain. She wants to know whether there is still a door open in your heart, even if it is only open enough for honesty. But my child, there is something your soulmate does not yet know. Their mother found more than evidence of your sacrifice. She found a message connected to the day the two of you separated, a message that was meant to reach your soulmate but never did. Someone stopped it. Someone who feared what would happen if the truth brought you back together. This person was not a stranger. They were close enough to understand your soulmate's fears, close enough to influence their decisions, and close enough to quietly reshape the story of what happened between you. For a long time, your soulmate believed you had chosen silence. But the truth is far more complicated. You did speak. You did try. And your words were deliberately kept from them. Their mother has only just begun to uncover this. She has seen enough to know that the separation was not as natural as everyone believed. There were conversations altered. Intentions misrepresented. Moments where reconciliation might have happened, but someone redirected the path. Do not become afraid. This is not being revealed to fill your heart with anger. It is being revealed because what was hidden can no longer govern what happens next. Your soulmate's mother now carries two missions. First, she must find you. Second, she must discover who interfered and why. But before she can do either, she must make one difficult choice. She knows the person responsible may be standing very close to the family. Exposing them could divide relationships that have existed for years. Remaining silent, however, could allow the same person to interfere again. She is now searching through old messages, dates, conversations, and details. She is asking questions quietly. Each answer is leading her closer to the truth. And with every discovery, she understands that the wedding was only the visible crisis. The deeper crisis began long before today. Your soulmate is still in that quiet room, holding the proof of your hidden love. They are replaying the past with new eyes. Moments that once seemed like rejection are now beginning to make sense. Words they blamed you for not saying may have been spoken but never delivered. The coldness they believed came from you may have been created by someone else's influence. They are not thinking about the interrupted ceremony anymore. They are thinking about you. They are remembering the last time you looked at them before distance entered the connection. They are remembering what your eyes said when your mouth could not find the right words. They are remembering how deeply you understood them when others only saw the surface. They are realizing that they may have been loved more honestly than they ever knew. And now they are afraid, not of loving you, but of discovering how much time was lost because of a lie. My child, do not confuse this message with a command to chase, beg, or abandon your peace. You are not being asked to run toward uncertainty without wisdom. You are being reminded that truth has its own timing, and what is meant to be faced will eventually arrive at the door of your awareness. Your heart has grown during this silence. You are not the same person you were when the separation began. You have learned how to survive questions without immediate answers. You have learned how to keep loving without losing yourself. You have learned that devotion does not require self-erasure. This growth matters, because when the conversation comes, you must not enter it as the wounded version of yourself who only wanted to be chosen. You must enter it as the person who now understands that love must be honest, mutual, and courageous. Your soulmate's mother is searching for that person. Not the version of you others described. The real you. The one who carried pain with dignity. The one who stepped away because you did not want to force what should be freely chosen. The one who remained tender even after being misunderstood. She knows she owes you an apology, but she does not yet know how to say it. She knows her assumptions help strengthen the distance. She remembers moments when she could have asked questions but accepted rumors instead. She remembers encouraging her child to move on because she thought you had already done so. Now she must face the possibility that her advice led them toward a ceremony their heart never wanted. That realization is heavy. But repentance is not weakness. The willingness to correct a mistake can become the doorway through which healing enters an entire family. There is one more detail you must hear before this part ends. When your soulmate's mother said she would find you, your soulmate gave her something. It was an object they had kept hidden throughout the entire relationship, throughout the separation, and even throughout the wedding preparations. Their mother had never seen it before. Your soulmate reached into a locked compartment and removed a small envelope. Your name was written across the front in handwriting that had faded slightly with time. Inside was a letter. Not written today. Not written last night. It had been written long before the wedding was planned, on the very night your soulmate believed they had lost you forever. They never sent it. They were afraid the truth inside it would make them vulnerable. They were afraid you would read it and remain silent. They were afraid that once the words left their hands, there would be no protection left around their heart. But now, after the wedding was stopped and the hidden evidence came to light, they gave that letter to their mother and said, "When you find them, give them this before you say anything else." Their mother accepted it. Then your soulmate added one final sentence that caused her to stop at the door. They said, "Tell them the last page is the truth I was too afraid to live." The letter is with her now. She is holding the words your soulmate has hidden for all this time. She is searching for a way to reach you. But she has not yet read the final page, because the envelope contains something else, something sealed separately, something your soulmate instructed her not to open. And just moments ago, before she began looking for you, another message arrived on her phone from an unknown number. It contained only one warning. Do not give that letter to them. You still do not know what really happened. Your soulmate's mother stared at the screen, because beneath those words was a photograph taken on the day you disappeared from their life. And standing in the background of that photograph was the last person anyone would have suspected.